بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome my dear second secondary students for your new lesson for your book The Traveler 3, and today we have reading, vocabulary and grammar. If we get started with what we'll learn today, our objectives are three, as you can see. Number one, practice reading a magazine article about endangered species. 2. Practice identifying word meaning from context. 3. Practice using articles, determiners and quantifiers in context. For number one, we're going to read a magazine article, some kind of reading, and this reading talks about endangered species, some animals that are endangered. And for number two, we're going to practice identifying word meaning from context. So the reading that we're going to read about the endangered species, there are words underlined in red. We're gonna read them, so we're gonna study some vocabulary and their meanings. And finally, for number three, it's about grammar, how we use articles, determiners, and quantifiers. If you take a look at this picture, you see too many different animals, starting, animals that live in Saudi Arabia. Maybe you can see the camel, you can see a deer, you can see also maybe some wild animals, maybe you can see also a goat, a sheep, and other animals. Some of the animals that are, in some other countries are endangered. So can you think of an animal species, that are endangered? We know that the koala bear is endangered. We know that some kind of tigers are endangered. We also know that there are some, the polar bear or the white bear is also endangered. As you can see, here is a reading about some endangered animals that really we don't know about. They're not very famous as, to be very endangered. So I will read for you, and I hope you follow with me. And again, in the text you will have some underlined words in red. We're going to talk about them in objective 2, about words and their meanings in context. According to the World Wildlife Fund, there are hundreds of animal species on the endangered species list. Some of the reasons these animals are endangered include the destruction of natural habitats, pollution, and climate change. Most of us are aware that the gorilla, the tiger, and the giant panda are slowly disappearing. But there are some lesser known creatures that are also likely to die out soon. One example is the Arabian oryx, an amazing antelope which has the ability to survive in very difficult environmental conditions. The Arabian oryx are uniquely beautiful, may weigh between 55 and 70 kilograms, while their horns measure up to 68 centimeters in length. In the 1970s, illegal hunting caused this creature, once found throughout the Middle East, to slowly become extinct in the wild. In order to save the species, Saudi Arabia started breeding oryx in protected areas. At present, more than 100 Arabian oryx live in the wild, while over 600 live in captivity in the Arabian Peninsula and other parts of the world. The Arabian oryx is very famous in Emirates, United Arab Emirates, and it's the logo of the city which we call Abu Dhabi. It's actually a very beautiful animal. If we continue also to read about more endangered animals that we never heard about, another example is the kakapo, a type of parrot which is found in New Zealand. These birds cannot fly, and they build their nests on the ground. They eat nuts, seeds, and fruit, and they sometimes climb trees in search of food. The kakapo is the heaviest parrot in the world, weighing about 3 kilograms. There were once hundreds of thousands of kakapo in existence, but today there are only about 90 left. These birds are endangered because they are easy prey for cats, weasels, and rats. Their weight and their inability to fly make them difficult make it difficult for them to escape their predators. In order to save the Kakapo, New Zealand conservation authorities have taken the last remaining birds to protected islands that are predator free. The authorities hope that the birds will breed and that the number of Kakapo will increase in the coming years. So as you can see, we have read about the Kakapo, we have read about the oryx and some other endangered animals. Now, you remember, we read this, and now we're going to have to choose in the boxes here from 1 to 6, as you can see. You can read the text again and decide if the following statements are true or false or not mentioned. We didn't talk about them in the reading. So write T for true, F for false, and NM, which is not mentioned, in the boxes. I'm going to read for you and leave you to guess if this is true or false or not mentioned. 1. There are several reasons why certain species are dying out. Did we talk about this? Did the text that we read mention this? So there are several reasons why certain species are dying out or extinct. 2. It's more difficult to protect lesser known creatures from extinction. 3. The greatest enemy of the Arabian oryx was man. 4. The Arabian oryx lives only in the wild. The Kakapo is endangered because it is hunted by other animals. Or 6. The Kakapo is disappearing faster than any other species. So for number 1, there are reasons for these species that are dying out. So did the reading text talk about this? It's more difficult to protect lesser known creatures from extinction. And if you want me to display the answers, number 1 is true. Number 2, we did not talk about this, or we did not read this, so it's not mentioned. And 3 is also true. 4 not mentioned. 5 is false, and 6 true. And here are the answers. It's true. There are so many reasons for some animals dying out. About lesser known creatures from extinction, it's not exactly mentioned, but also true. The greatest enemy of the Arabian oryx was man, because man started to hunt this animal. And the Arabian live in the wild, it's not also mentioned. The Kakapo is endangered because it's hunted by other animals. No, because the Kakapo most of the time, some animals hunt it, but it's because of destroying its habitat. And the Kakapo is disappearing faster than any other species. That is true, but we don't know about this. We most of the time know that panda bears and polar bears and some tigers are on the top list of endangered species. If we move on to talk about what I said for you from the beginning, when we were going to read the text, there are underlined words in red. So they have their meanings inside the text. So let's find out their meanings. To the left you have 1 through 7, and also here you have A to G. So match the words or phrases highlighted in the text or underlined in red in the text with their meanings. You remember we had the first one, which was are aware of something. 2, die out. 3, prey. 4, predators. 5, remaining. 6, breed. And 7, features. And to the right, their meanings are A, which still exist, appears, have, babies, disappear, know, F, animals which kill and eat other animals, and G, animals which another animal eats. So for number 1, to be aware or is or are aware of something is to know something. So 1 goes to E. 2, something die out. Something die out, it means disappear or extinct. Okay, die out. To D, prey, which is animals which another animal eats. So they are praised. They're hunting them like, rats are praise, okay, for too many wild animals. For predators, like tigers, lions, pumas, and these, cat species that eat, prey. We call them predators. And number four, predators goes to F, animals which kill and eat other animals. Five, remaining, something that is the remaining thing, something which still exists. Breed is to have babies. And of course, finally, number seven, features, which is something that features on something which is appears. Like he features something on TV, it means he displayed something on TV. And here are the answers again. One goes, to E, two to D, three to G, four for F, and five for A, six for C, and seven for B. Now let's talk about grammar in the third objective for today. Today our grammar is about three important things. For the first, we're going to talk about determiners. What are determiners? And what do they determine in grammar or in a sentence? Articles, what do we mean by articles? Most of the time you have a question, fill in the spaces with the suitable articles like a, an, or the. And finally, about what do we mean by the quantifiers, which are a few, a little, a lot of, and so on. We'll talk about this soon in details. So let's start with articles. What do we mean by articles? If you see, we have in this text, we have colored the articles here in red. So if I'm going to read for you, the sun is a star, not a planet. John is an Englishman. The man who wrote this book is famous. Lunch is my favorite meal. So a, an, and that, as you can see here. Sorry for that. A, an, the. These are articles. And the articles are divided into two categories. Either they are definite articles or indefinite articles. So what do we mean by this? When we have a, an, or the. So use the indefinite articles like a or an before singular nouns. So always remember a or an always before singular, one, okay? Singular nouns. But a, we use it before words that begin with a consonant sound, all the letters except the vowels. For example, a TV show, a chef, a festival, a table, a book, a tablet, a pen, and so on. But we use an before words that begin with a vowel sound. You remember the vowels? A, E, I, U, and O. So English starts with a vowel, E, an English class. Aunt starts with a vowel, A, an aunt. Uncle starts with U, it's a vowel, an uncle. Now that's for a and an. Both we use them, before singular nouns, but a before consonants and an before vowels. Now that, we use that. We call it definite article because it introduces something we know. Before singular and plural nouns, so there's no problem, singular or plural, okay? So we can say that table or that tables, no problem. So that student, the students, that mango, the mangoes, and so on. So it's not about singular plural. It's just an indefinite, it's just definite article. But what do we mean by this? We use that always for objects that are one of a kind. There is only one of them. So we don't say earth, the, or the earth, the stars, and also, or the star or the stars, the sun, the moon, the sky, the sea, and so on. One of a kind, there's one of them. Also, we use the articles such as that, the definite article, with the names of oceans, seas, rivers, mountain ranges, deserts, group of states. So we have the Red Sea. It's one of a kind. There's only one Red Sea on Earth. The Amazon, the Eiffel Tower, the Arabian Desert, the Alps, the United States, and so on. We use no article before the names of days, months, people, streets, cities, countries, continents, mountains, and islands. For example, Fahd is my brother. It's the same also in Arabic. We don't say the Fahd is my brother. Fahd is my brother. We don't have to put that because we already know that Fahd is a proper name. I live on Main Street. We don't say I live on the Main Street. He is in Dubai. We don't say he is in the Dubai because there is only one Dubai. She went to Europe. Mountain Olympus is in Greece, or Mount Olympus. The festival starts in May. The festival starts in May. Also, one important note for the article, before a noun which represents a species, so it talks about a kind of a living creature, we can use either a, an, or the plural form, such as in the following example. We can say the penguin cannot fly, or we can say a penguin cannot fly. Why? Because penguin is a species, it's a creature, it's a living thing. Or in general, penguins cannot fly. Now let's have an exercise and fill the spaces here with either a or an or the for each of the following here. I'm going to read for you first from 1 to 6. My mother is a doctor, an doctor, or the doctor, and my father is author. 2. Cindy recommended good dentist, but the dentist does not have any openings for 2 months. 3. Empty hood is volcano in Oregon. It's very beautiful mountain. Sam recommended book to Lisa. She didn't like book at all. Do you have vacuum? I dropped piece of cake and I need to clean it up. 6. Honey, where is vacuum? I can't find it. It was in the closet, at closet, and closet, but now it's not there. That is easy. So for number 1, doctor is singular. There's no S. Okay. A or an. D is a consonant, so we don't use an, we use a. My mother is a doctor and my father is an author. Why? Because author means writer. It started with a vowel. A, O, E, I, U. These are the vowels. So if the first letter starts with one of these 5 vowels, we add an. So number 1, my mother is a doctor and my father is an author. 2, I'm gonna leave it for you. Cindy recommended a good dentist, and good dentist, the good dentist. What do you think about this? Cindy recommended a good dentist, but the dentist does not have any openings for 2 months. 3, empty hood is a volcano in Oregon. It is a very beautiful mountain. And here are the answers for the rest. So number 1, my mother is a doctor and my father is an author. Cindy recommended a good dentist, but the dentist does not have any openings for the 2 months. 3, empty hood is a volcano. It's a very beautiful mountain. Sam recommended a book to Lisa. She didn't like the book at all. Do you have a vacuum? I dropped a piece of cake and I need to clean it up. Honey, where's the vacuum? I can't find it. It was in the closet. Now let's talk about the second part of the grammar for today. We call them the quantifiers because they tell us about the quantity. It's all about countable and non-countable things. There are things we can't count in English, like milk, water, tea, sugar, and other things. And there are things we can count. We can say book, 1 book, 2 books, 3 books, 5 books, cars, 1 car, 2 cars, 3 cars, and so on. So how do we use many, few, much, little, or a few, or a lot of? How many and how much? Okay, now we're talking here about many and much. How much and how many? We use how much and how many to ask about the amount, the quantity. How much milk? Why we use much? Because milk, we can't count it. You can't count milk. How much milk do you drink? How much chocolate? We can't count chocolate. Did you eat? How many sisters? Now we can count sisters. This is why we say many. How many sisters do you have? I have 3, I have 4, I have 10, I have 1. You can count. How many books? You can count books. How many books do you have? I have 10 books, I have 14 books, I have 1 book, and so on. So, few people stopped. Is people counted or not? Few people stopped to listen to the preacher on the corner. So now we're comparing few and little. There is little that you can do about the situation. 3, I happen to like spiders, but few others agree with me. I have little time to waste. Although the car is old, I have few problems with it. He is so stubborn. There's little use in talking to him. There are few cars on the road after midnight. And 8, there's little chance of rain for the next few days. So these were examples of, okay, when do we use few and little? Okay, few and little is all about, countable or non-countable, things we can count and things that we cannot count. And actually, if you ask me, all English grammar, most of it, okay, is about countable, non-countable, and it's all about singular and plural. Now, if we talk about a lot or a lot of, how many books are there? There aren't many. Or how much money have you got? We use many books because books are countable. Thank you. How much money? Money, you don't know how much. So we consider it here uncountable. Maybe you don't know. You have 10 reals, maybe you have 100 reals, maybe you have 71, 75. You're not sure. So the answer here, how many books are there? There aren't many. And when you say how much money have you got, I haven't got much. Now, a lot or a lot of, we can use it with in too many ways. There are a lot. You can say there are a lot of books. This is what it means. Or you can say there are a lot of books. You can say lots of books. It's the same like a lot of books. There are many books, and this is the formal thing. Why? Because again, we're talking about countable and non-countable. How much have you got? I haven't got much. You can say I've got a lot, and you can say I've got a lot of money, and you can say I've got lots of money, and I've got much money, and this is the formal. Okay, it's not bad if you use this, but it's more formal to use I've got much money or there are many books. Now let's talk about some and any. We use some in affirmative statements and also in questions, and we use any in negative statements and questions. For example, so we use some in affirmative, positive sentences, like, I have some books. This is affirmative. When we say something in negative, I don't have any books. Or in questions, do you have any books? For example, here, in the affirmative, you can have some fruit every day. Eating fruit is always good, and it's a healthy thing. So you can have them for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner. But you can't have any sugar. So it's not about here countable, non-countable. It's about, this is affirmative sentence and this is a negative sentence. Why? When you see can't, never, don't, doesn't, didn't, is not, are not, these are negative. So in the negative with a not group, we use any, and in any sentence, we use some. So let's try to put too many of these words here from 1 to 8. Some, any, much, many, a lot of, a little, and few. And a few. Read the sentences. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, and here we have 8. It means there is going to be one which we're going to repeat. Okay? So There aren't car parks in the center of Oxford. Car parks is countable because you got S and we can count the parks, so we use many. There aren't many car parks in the center of Oxford. 2. Eating out is expensive there or here. There aren't any, because of negative, we use any cheap restaurant. Liverpool has a lot of great nightclubs. So for the rest, if I'm gonna display for you the answers, there aren't many car parks because parks are countable. Eating out is there aren't any cheap restaurants. Liverpool has a lot of great nightclubs. Hurry up. We only have a little time before the coach leaves. 5. We saw some beautiful scenery when we went to Austria. 6. There are a few shops near the university. 7. It's very quiet. There aren't many people here today. And 8. There are some expensive new flats next to the river. So this is what we did today. So let's try to wrap up what we did today. We learned today about we use the articles, which is a or an or the before a singular a and an before a singular countable noun when we refer to it in a general sense or when it's mentioned for the first time. We use a or an the before a noun, which is something unique and is used for a specific or in a specific sense or has been mentioned before. And also we talked about we use a lot of for countable or non-countable nouns, much like much money, much time, many for negative and interrogative sentences, affirmative sentences for few and a little. And here are the examples for these. And also we talked about how we use some and any, some in affirmative sentences. In negative we use any. And here are some words that we talked about. Aware or are aware, it means they know. Die out, extinct, prey, animals that run after their prey to kill them and eat them. Predators, animals like tigers who kill their prey and eat them. Remaining, it means something still exists. And breed, to have babies. And features, to display something. Actually, features has the word has too many meanings in a dictionary, and I always advise you to go to the dictionary, check their meanings. These were the references and the resources for you to try out for extra work. And for more information and lessons, you can visit our website at تعليمية.com. You can follow us on Twitter, and there's a landline phone for you if you got any technical difficulties. Thank you all for watching this. Until I meet you again, have a good day and salam alaikum.